From a moment, and finally the time is now to shine.
What's good? What's good? What's good? Season number 2, the Light Body Podcast. You know who I am. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. Family, friends, frenemies, enemies, and foes. What's good? This is Clyde Rush in the building. We got season 2 going on, and we starting off with a big bang. We got my man, Mr. Gerry Watkins, in the building, and he's going to talk about what his unique talent, his unique skill, his unique ability is as far as transformation. He's got a company. I'm going to let him talk about what those different things are. And listen, we're going to just dive deep. We're going to have a great time. If you're looking for radical transformation, if you're looking for application of what the light body experience is really all about with yourself and your awakening, you're coming into the existence as far as higher consciousness, and you got that place where you're really not sure about it because this is something kind of unfamiliar for you, my man Gerry Watkins is definitely going to help you out with what it is that he does. So, Gerry, welcome to the podcast. A pleasure having you here, my brother. Tell me a little bit about who you are.
Well, first I want to say it feels like welcome to the party every time I get with you. Okay.
My man.
Like I said, I love your energy, and you, it's Saturday morning, but we both are there today.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's always a hard question. Who am I? Besides, I can tell you my name and I can tell you what I do. Hopefully
Yeah.
through this podcast, you'll get a better understanding of who I am.
Right.
But I am a mindset and leadership coach. It's what I do. That's what I do.
Yes.
And this morning, I really want to focus in on what I feel is at the top and most important part is actually transformation, which you tell me that's what you're about. And I know that's what you're about. I've seen your pictures.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
I've seen your old pictures and I've seen your new pictures, and that was a transformation, my brother.
Absolutely. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so I want to share with the guys some things, and we can go through it a bit at a time about
Yeah.
breakthrough coaching, because that's normally the first thing, right? You got to break through or break out of where you're at.
Right.
And I want to share something called self-concept coaching. That's been one of the most exciting
Yeah.
things that we've been doing. So yeah, so that's what I like to share from this morning.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for sharing that information. Now, let me ask you a question. Let's go back a little bit because people need to know that you identify with where I am. You understand my stress, my strain, my struggle because either you've been through it or you found something that you did or something that worked for you. And if it worked for you, more than likely it can work for me. So for you, if you can go back for whatever period of time it was, what was your moment? What was the defining moment for you when you realized I can't stay like this? Something
Yeah.
had to happen.
Yeah, I've had a few of those. Okay.
Good.
And I've had some recently, because I believe in it's going from one level to the next, right?
Absolutely.
I really believe we're not going to arrive on this earth. But one I can think of in particular, one of the biggest that relates to what I do now happened when I was doing the recession. And
Right.
we were losing about 2/3 of our income, and we were doing about 6 million a year in our salons.
Wow.
And Clyde, what happened was we got hyper focused on solving problems, and I heard inside of me a voice that said, "The problem isn't the problem.
How about that? Say
The
it again. The problem
the
isn't the
problem isn't the
problem.
problem.
Yeah,
The fact that you're focused on the problem is the problem."
exactly. Look at that.
That's what led me to the work that I do now.
hmm You see, now you said something that was really key. It was inside. There was a voice. There was something that captured your attention from the inner part of the body, from the inside.
Oh
And
yeah.
that resonated and created some type of frequency or vibration for you to say, what is that? And what does that actually mean? And then to me, you explored. And that exploration is the thing that delivered you or brought you to the place where you looked at things differently. You did that outer perspective. Does that make sense? Does that resonate with you?
That's exactly what happened. No, it changed everything that I do. It's a simple concept, but I had no awareness of it. I didn't know what that statement meant, but I knew it would be life changing once I figured it out.
Yeah.
And it's been exactly that we
hmm
spent a lot of time focused on our problems, and that can never deliver a solution. It can
Right.
only deliver more of a problem.
Exactly. Thinking about it, Einstein's theory says, listen, you can't solve a problem on the same level it was created on. You've got to go above it to see it.
You're
To
my
see
man.
it.
Yeah, that's what I love about you. You got it. That's it. That's he said it the most elegant, right? He said it
Exactly.
right, right.
Exactly. So again, we look at a problem, and we can look at problems as a moment of transformation. An alchemist looks at a situation, a circumstance, turning lead to gold. And we're talking about that radical transformation from what is to what we truly desire it to be. And it's also a matter of dark, and it's also a matter of light. So when we think about the dark place, we also associate that with being called the shadow or the dark shadows or the shadows of life or the dark night of the soul. And oftentimes, when people get to that place where things are just so challenging for them and it's so dark for them and they can't seem to see that light. And then somebody like yourself comes along who's been through a situation or circumstance in that dark moment, as you said, it was during that time when you were making the money was there, we had it, but then we realized that there was something that actually had to happen in order to change us from what was into what it is that we're doing right now. So when you think about that, of course, you said it was the money, and we get that aspect of it, but that radical transformation, how did you feel inside?
Right, right. Well, and that's interesting. You say, how did you feel? Because how I felt before I got this revelation was nervous. My stomach would go into knots because I'd
Hmm.
walk into my salon and I have 28 hairdressers and only three are busy, and I've got $27,000 rent coming up, and I got $10,000 in the bank. Okay,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
so knots would go into my stomach. But
Right.
once I learned what we teach people, immediately inside of a week, maybe two, the knots were there no longer. Because
Exactly.
what we really need to start with, people have to get a breakthrough. I think
Hmm.
you'll appreciate this.
Yeah.
You need, we do what's called, the first thing I like to do with people is get a mental emotional detox.
All right. Med, mental emotional detox. We're going to call it med.
Yeah, it may. Okay, there. Thank you so much.
That's free.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, a mental and emotional detox
Yes.
because it's hard to, when you're in the darkness, it's hard to see any light.
True. True.
And,
True.
and our negative emotions and our, what do you call it, limiting beliefs
Yes.
will definitely keep us in the dark and keep everything distorted. And
Hmm.
we'll find ourselves preoccupied with
Exactly.
looking at the limiting beliefs, what's going wrong, looking at the problem.
Hmm.
So that's the
Exactly.
first thing is to get people clear, get some
Right.
clarity is the
Hmm.
first thing.
You said that true. And the thing about it is, yeah, looking at the problem. So we have a problem, not even realizing that we're the solution to the problem. And we let this block us. And it
Mm,
just tends to hinder us from becoming the true version of ourselves. When we have that doubt, the fear, the disbelief within ourselves, it is operating in that dark place, which is the low vibration. But the thing about it is when we get to that elevated state of awareness, when we get to that elevated state of higher consciousness, and we realize that we are the solution to the problem, now we can see ourselves as being bigger than that and go above, over, and beyond. Now, that doesn't mean it's over. As you said, it just means you've reached over this particular situation, circumstance, or hurdle. And you've turned this into an advantage out of an adversity, into an
exactly.
opportunity out of an obstacle. And it doesn't mean it's over, just like you said. It just means that you've reached one level above. And now we just like stair steps. So again, when we think about that, and you said to yourself, you've learned from these things, what do you teach? How do you teach that?
Well, it's not in the first phase. We definitely teach, but I
Hmm.
start with not even teaching because most people ain't trying to hear something. They say, I need to feel different
There
inside.
you go.
I need to see things different, and so that's what the breakthrough is about, is
Hmm.
using NLP processes
Hmm.
to remove the negative emotions. Like I had a guy, we're going to be working again tomorrow, and I wanted to
Hmm.
demo to him the power of this. He's going through a divorce, and when you're a business owner going through a divorce, there's nothing much more traumatic. I mean,
Exactly.
I don't know if you've been through a divorce.
I've
I've
been
been,
through a divorce, brother.
well, and I really wanted to see because I hadn't worked with anybody with a divorce like this,
Yeah.
and I thought, let me see. I want to try this, and I actually took him through some of the processes in
Hmm.
1 hour. I
Yeah.
mean,
See
this
that?
sounds crazy. In 1 hour, we were able to get rid of the anger,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
sadness, heaviness and the hurt
See,
gone.
you
And
talking?
so, yeah, so we,
No, go
we
ahead.
have, the first part of working with people for me is not to be talking a lot. It's like, let me get rid of some stuff so that you can breathe again.
Exactly. Very critical point. And it is, especially for men. All right. Because we don't know. Oh, no, it's not that we don't know. We don't know that we do know. We just don't know that we know that we can feel. And more
Mm,
often than not, what we tend to do is be in the headspace of who it is that we are, because that's where we operate and govern most of our lives from. But when we allow ourselves to drop in to that heart and feel, we're introduced with the baggage of the stuff from the past, the hurt, the resentment, the anger, the fear, the doubt, the disbelief, and all of that stuff is that low vibration, which means
yeah,
we haven't really been living in. We just been operating in this space and place. And when we turn on that light within the body and we start to feel, we realize how much we actually devalued ourselves, how much worth we never stepped up into, and how we sat there and went through the stress, strain, and struggle trying to think our way out of it. And it's a place where you actually feel your way
right.
through the process. So I want to thank you for doing that. And again, so for people who don't know, NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. Okay, so that's neuro-linguistic programming and the process of that. So tell me just a little bit about what that is without doing your whole thing, because I know you can drop it
Yeah,
on them.
yeah. Most of what we do is NLP based.
Right.
And it's really just learning how to control your internal processes, your internal thinking.
Hmm.
So everybody knows, as a man, as a woman thinketh,
Yes.
so shall it be. And
Yeah.
so it's learning to control. And let me say this: the the first thing to learning how to control, you can't control something you don't have awareness of.
True.
And
True.
most people are not aware of their internal processes. They
Hmm.
don't, I know I wasn't. I mean,
Yeah.
I went through a process, Clyde, when I learned this concept called observational thinking is one of the
Yeah.
things that we teach.
Hmm.
And it's to slow down. It's some disciplines we take them through. They go through every morning. And what happened with me the promise to me was you will, after a few months, you will actually be able to see yourself making things up in real time. You won't be
Yeah.
looking back. And I didn't really know what that meant. And I was sitting, getting ready for work, just putting on my socks,
Hmm.
daydreaming. And it was like somebody cut the volume up
Yeah.
on the voices inside my head,
Yes, sir.
because I was never used to hearing it that loud.
Hmm.
And it startled me. And in fact, I thought for a second, I mean, just for a second, I thought, am I schizophrenic? Because all of a sudden I heard myself saying, Gerry, I don't know why you're thinking about that. You know that's not going to get you what you want. And I've been talking about this stuff for a while. And that was the first time I heard it
Yeah.
going on in my unconscious mind. It
Hmm.
was like I was eavesdropping. But I tell you what, as crazy as that may sound, the voices are lower now.
Right.
But the power of seeing yourself, let me, if I can, if I won't cuss too much, but making shit up
No, listen, this is
about
how
your future and how things are going to be is one of the most powerful revelations you can get and awarenesses you can get.
you said it as just as plain as it could be. I mean, we live a majority of our lives in illusion and delusion and confusion because the situation may have been this small, but we make it enormous so we can run around with the V on our chest, which stands for victim, and that victimization. Now, some of the story that is there is an illusion. It did happen because it's in a seed. But what we tend to do so that we can believe the limiting process of ourselves and put the V on, which is victim, until we transform it into victory, we run around with that pain and that frustration. So we amplify that thing. And you said something that was really key, that inner voice. And at first, that inner voice is trying, is doing its best to get your attention. And it reminds you of your stress, strain, and struggle. And we can call that the egotistic element of ourselves. We can call it the shadow self to protect you from yourself. But at the same time, that voice is like, hey, listen, I'm going to remind you of your pain and your suffering to protect you from doing the thing, which is that limiting belief in a negative form. What we have an opportunity to do is break through that, transform it into something completely different through the process of NLP. And as you were saying, that visualization. And when we go through that visualization, we see something that's possible for us. And then we see ourselves in the possibility for us. You said something that was also through your process. The volume actually got louder in the beginning, and then it got lower as you started to become more and more aware because it didn't need as much of your
Right, right.
attention because you're dialed in, you're tuned in, tapped in, and turned on to it. So now it's like,
Now I can hear myself, because I'm aware of it now. I can hear myself, and I've trained myself to hear myself making stuff up. So
yeah,
when I'm sitting as a business owner and something isn't going right, and I'm sitting and pondering, man, I hope this doesn't work out like this. It look like
mhm,
we're going to lose money. Look like this. I realize it's obvious to me now. It's like, well, you're making that up, right?
right.
And some people say, well, because I'll be coaching people, and most of what they're dealing with, it's in the future.
Yeah,
They're actually sowing their future into their timeline right now. And I say, well, you're making that up.
right.
No, that's what I think. That I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. It's happening. I say, I know you're making it up because you have no crystal ball. Is there a way you can see into the future?
Hmm.
So where are you getting this information from?
Nice, nice. Look at that.
How could you possibly see into the future? You don't know this is how things are going to turn out.
Hmm.
But if you keep thinking on what you're thinking on, this problem,
Yeah.
that's exactly what you're going to
What
get.
you're gonna get.
It's
We
self-fulfilling,
it
right?
it is self-fulfilling, and that same process of self-fulfilling, when we think about future pacing as a technique. And when we think about that, it's like, well, where do I see myself? As never God has spoken reference to as far as future pacing and seeing. And we understand how these intricates of NLP actually have these different sets in it. So it's just about understanding how to use these different things. Here's the thing for you. So as you spoke about this person who you're coaching and you're working through this person as a male who happened to be going through a divorce, who's a business owner and the trauma of all of that stuff, who would you suggest or who would you think of as being your ideal client? Like who's a person that's just like got it that you just know in your knowing that you can do something for them?
Yeah, well, first of all, since I've been a business owner pretty much all my life, since I was 12, I'd been bootlegging hair, right? And then I got licensed and got legal,
Yeah, yeah.
20 something years, and then I went into coaching. So I've worked for myself all my life, really.
Right.
And so business owners and leaders are
Mhm.
great clients for me, or anyone that's going for something in the life. Like I'm going to be start working with the lady. Her husband is going into Alzheimer's,
Yeah.
and it's twisting, that's a lot of trauma. And so people that are having anything emotionally distracting to their quality of life,
Okay.
because I really enjoy helping people to chill out and focus on what they want,
Yeah.
you know,
See?
because that's the secret, right? I know that's the secret, but everything else is a distraction. So how do
Yeah.
you go to the distractions
And
and
you
focus in on what you want?
You said it key, and it's the distractions that take you off your traction. You know what I'm saying? But before you get on your traction, you got to know where you want to go. What do I want? What are my desires? And without making it all thing, but it's the desires of what it is that you truly want in your heart, not necessarily in your head. And the
Hmm.
thing about it is you can utilize the head as a tool, but if the tool isn't sharp, then all of a sudden everything it is that we go for takes that extra work, that extra effort, as opposed to it being when we get to self-mastery, the effortlessness that it actually requires because we have this thing called heart brain coherence. Now, I feel what it is that I see. And that empowers it for me to attract it to me as opposed to repel it because I can't see that it's for me, which is a process in itself. And again, here's a person, and I'm just bringing a situation up to you, and they come to you, and it's like, okay, Gerry, here's my situation. I'm a business owner. I went through the whole thing, and we have this situation and circumstance that's coming up. And you see something in that person that you saw in yourself. And all you wanted to do was just help this person. Have you come across things like that? Have you come across people like that?
All the time, all the time. It's,
Yeah.
all the time. Matter of fact, I'm going to start working with another guy in a week or two.
Hmm.
And I'm excited. Like I was saying, we start with breakthrough to get clarity. And as you said, then we get people focused in on discovering what's important to them, not
Right.
what society says or what mom and daddy said. Let's
Hmm.
get in your heart, like you said. But then the real work starts for me in this area of self concept.
Yeah.
That's the biggest shift you can ever make in the world. And that's where the source of most all of our challenges are coming from,
Hmm.
is the concept we hold of ourselves,
Right.
of who we are as a business owner, as a woman, as a man, you
Hmm.
know, that concept is where, it's like this, Clyde. Beliefs are a filter, values are a filter. We filter everything out based upon our beliefs. Anything that's not in agreement with our beliefs, we say we don't believe that, we will never be able to do anything with that because we just
Exactly.
that becomes our filter, right?
Hmm.
Or certain things aren't important to us. Those are our not our values. So we don't pay attention to things that aren't important to us, right?
Right.
Well, the biggest filter in life is your self-concept.
Hmm.
You take it with you everywhere you go.
Yep.
It spans time and space, and it's filtering everything in your life. And those parts of your self-concept that are off, that's where the problem is.
Exactly. First step, you said it key, identity. What is my true identity? Who am I? What are my
Hmm.
values? What are my morals? What's my code of conduct? What is my belief system? What is my
Hmm.
thought process? What are my emotions? What kind of results have I been getting? And what kind of actions have I been implementing? And what kind of results do I get? And if you reverse engineer that, you got the answer to the key, and that's the key that unlocks the brain that synchronizes. Yeah.
This is where NLP becomes very, very practical and powerful for
Hmm.
us, because I like what you said. Let me give you what we call the logical levels of how we learn or how we change.
Yes.
The lowest level is experiences.
Hmm.
It starts with that. And our experiences, that's all about, situations in our life that, which influence how we see ourselves.
Yeah.
That's what experiences are. Things like getting a promotion or losing a job or helping a friend. Those are experiences we have. And we have trillions of experiences, but for some reason we select certain ones depending
Hmm.
on how we do
How we
things.
feel, how we
Yeah,
think.
and we take those experiences and we create what we call, let's say, qualities. We call them
Right.
qualities, and qualities are simply this. It's like confidence would be a quality, caring
Yes.
would be a quality. These are qualities, and these are like you can say characteristics, personality traits that we have, and they shape how we see ourselves. See, our concept is built up from our qualities. We have
Yes.
certain qualities, and from all those qualities, that ends up being what our self-concept is.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets really serious at,
Hmm.
is where your self-concept is. And
Exactly.
and that's simply the big picture,
Yep. You said it
how
right.
you think you are. Now,
Yeah.
that's controlling your life
You said
more
it
than
right.
anything else. That's controlling your life.
Exactly. I associate those things to models of reality. And out of
Mhm.
those models of reality are the situations, the circumstances that we identify ourselves with based on who it is that we think we are, as they are experiences. Did I win? Did I lose? Did I understand what was going on? For me, it's like these four C's and a D is what I like to call it. And it's my confidence, my commitment, my courage, my consistency, and my discipline to show up. So
Those things are important to you, right?
exactly. That's it. That's it.
Those are your values. And
Exactly.
as long as you're acting in accordance with those, your self-concept will be
Hmm.
strong. If
Exactly.
When you're violating those, your self-concept becomes
Exactly.
weak. And
Hmm.
people, let me say one other thing about
Sure.
that, in case we don't, so we get to it. A lot of times people are trying to work on their self-esteem, how they
Yeah.
feel
How
about
they feel.
themselves. And what I've come to realize through years of coaching is it's not about your self-esteem.
Hmm.
Your self-esteem is a byproduct of your self-concept. See,
Yes.
if you have a healthy self-concept,
Hmm.
because what the self-esteem is essentially is how you feel about that big picture.
Right. Yeah.
And
Your
so,
momentum. Yeah.
yeah, that's just a byproduct. You don't have to work on your self-esteem, because
Right.
people build themselves up and try to feel good,
Hmm.
but the minute life hits them in the face, since their self-concept is messed up,
Right.
they're
They got a
back
problem.
to square one. They got a problem. So
Exactly.
you got to get that right concept. Like we had a guy. He worked on his one of his qualities was he wanted to be outgoing.
Okay. There you go.
really was. He used the techniques that we train in and turned in 30 minutes,
Hmm.
turned that quality on for himself. That's the other
See,
thing. This stuff can, like I said, happen fast. Turned that on in himself, and he never made six figures. He's going to be making $1 million
see,
because he got that quality now. So he has a different level of self-concept,
exactly.
and all the things that was blocking because of that are out of his way.
See, that's to me, that's the breakthrough, the
Yeah.
amplification and acceleration to acquire the thing it is that you truly desire at a much faster rate. This universe that we live in actually loves speed. So sometimes you actually have to slow down to speed.
Mm.
The slowdown is the pause that we actually take. The pivot is to change the course of direction that we were going in and then to proceed as we were, not who we were, but as we've become, which is a growing process in itself. So I like the fact that you're speaking in reference to breakthrough. I love the fact that you're
That's
talking about speed.
That's funny you say you have to slow down because some people, the biggest three objections I have about people with coaching or that they'll give me. For one is I don't have time.
Right.
And it's like,
Exactly. See?
well, what you're doing is killing you right now.
But
I
I
can,
ain't got time to stop.
I don't have time. I can't slow down. I got stuff I got to do. It's like, but you're not doing very well. If you take 90 minutes a week or so, you could do much more if you get
Yeah,
the help that you need or money. It's like, well, I can't afford that. It's like, no, you can't afford not to.
not
Let me
to.
help you with that.
Exactly. And it's
You can't
an
afford not
interesting thing you speaking in reference to coaching. And coaches need coaches. Coaching is in itself something that really, if you're in a business space and you don't have somebody to hold you accountable for what you're doing, you're only going to reach a certain level. Now, the thing with it is again, you said it like this. This is how I internalize it. You got a problem. How much are you willing to pay to get rid of the problem that's holding you back from receiving more by doing less and really being attentive to what your time is really all about? How can I gain my time back? That's part of the breakthrough to me.
Take this guy, for instance, that went from under six figures, skipped six figures and went to seven figures. The real question is how much is it costing you to stay where you're at?
Exactly. That's the bottom
He
line.
could he could have stayed where he was and never
Yeah.
made six figures, but the time and the money he invested caused him to reach a goal that was deep in his heart that he'd never been able to get close to.
See,
So no, that's huge.
that's major. And again, this is what you just reiterated. It's like, how much is it costing you mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially to
All that.
stay in the same place? And it's like, you desire it, you want it, but because of the limiting beliefs and the story, you keep selling yourself short, and it's costing you more to live than you're willing to pay to get out of the situation, stress, or strain, or struggle that you're in. And this is where breakthrough comes through.
I just hired a new coach I'm going to be working with starting Friday.
See, here it is.
We all, like you say, we're like pictures in a frame. It's hard to work on yourself. You
And
know,
it's-
you can't. You're the picture in the frame. It's
yep.
hard. I need somebody that can look at the picture
Hmm.
from the outside
Yeah,
and give me advice of how do I go to the next level. Because
exactly.
I like to tell people, you don't get to go. Everybody wants to go to the next level. You don't get to go to the next level. You have to grow to the next level.
Bro, you said it. That's it. Grow through what you're going through and be
Yeah,
willing.
something's got to change. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can't just
man.
go. If you could just go, we'd all be there, right?
Wouldn't we all? I mean, that's the whole thing. If I could see myself in the picture, that would be great. But I got to step out of the picture. I can't. Matter of fact, you got to step out of the jar to read the label that's on the jar. Now, the thing about it is once you step out the jar and you read the label, why would you want to go back in the jar? There's no
Right.
reason. That's a mindset. You know what I'm saying? But then again, this is what this breakthrough is all about. Two more things, Gerry, and I'm gonna let you get on with your day, brother, because I know I keep you here for the rest of the day. I keep you here
Oh
for the
no,
rest
it's
of the
been
year.
fun. It's been fun.
So when we talk about transformation, this radical transformation, there's something that comes along. Do you have anything in particular with people and how to explain what are triggers? Because sometimes people just going through things, but they may not understand what a trigger actually is. So what would be a trigger that you can actually explain and help folks really feel their way through or identify?
So for me, yeah, getting the trigger is extremely important, right? this concept I talked about with observational thinking,
Yeah.
the key is a lot of times we don't even recognize the trigger, as you say, but it's even if you have the trigger, the problem is you don't see the steps in between the trigger and the result.
Yes.
Like how did you get from blowing up, or how did you get from making money to losing money? How did all of this happen?
Yeah.
So it's like this concept of observational thinking. This is, in the best answer I could give you to your question is to take you through this process really quick. Is we will get you to start recognizing when you feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk a lot about feelings. When you are feeling bad, when you feel bad about something that happened, didn't go right, that is a trigger
Yes.
that you're focused on something you don't want.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's what we use as a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute I feel bad, I look inside and see, wait a minute, what was I just focused on? Well, you're probably
Mm-hmm.
focusing on, ooh, I got these taxes I got to pay, and I don't know
Yeah.
if I got the money for that. Yeah, that you're talking about what you don't have and what you don't want. There's no benefit.
Exactly.
And so,
Exactly.
so we're designed to
Mm-hmm.
be triggered into negativity or bad feelings.
Yeah.
And that's a blessing, because what if it made you feel good when things were going bad? That would be a real problem. I tell people,
Exactly.
like, the emotional pain is like physical pain. If
Mm-hmm.
you were to sit on a nail and didn't have any pain, you could bleed to death. So
Exactly.
what God designed us is when we are focused on something we don't want,
Right.
we feel bad, and that's your trigger.
Mm-hmm.
You got to switch, because what do you say? That's a bad vibration.
Exactly. Bad vibration, bad
You're
energy.
creating what you don't want.
Exactly. You're focusing on the very thing it is that you don't want and perpetuating it and committing more of the thing it is that you don't want just by focusing on it. Plain and
Out of
simple.
all the things you could be focused on in the universe, why are you focused on something you don't want? And then
Exactly.
create it.
And it's
So
a simple thing. Yeah. So we focus, follow one course until successful. We focus on the thing it is that we don't want and constantly perpetuate it. And because the power of that word, we have the power to speak things into existence. It's just that we've been speaking so much about the negative thing is that we don't want, and we constantly get in the thing is that we don't want, not even recognizing the full power that we have, you know?
not not recognizing is key, Clyde. That again, that process, and you mentioned it earlier, slowing down.
Hmm.
It's learn to watch how I created it. Everything that I felt bad about, we take people back and say, okay, let's walk you through this. What were you thinking when you were feeling that?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
were you picturing when you were feeling that?
That's it.
What were you making up while
Yeah.
you were doing that? Because you are designing your future in that process. And
Yeah.
if you don't learn to catch that
Hmm.
and refocus onto something that you want,
Yeah.
we're always creating
Yes.
what
Always.
we want or what we don't want. We're
Hmm.
creating every second, every minute of the day.
That's
So we
true.
have to teach people to take control of that thought process. And
Right.
when you do that, oh my gosh, that was the most liberating thing that ever happened to me. Like I said, I'd walk into the salon and three people be working, and I could physically feel the knots.
Isn't that it? That's amazing.
After learning how to do this, I could walk in the salon and nobody could be working. But I knew that was no indication that my future, I wasn't going to be able to pay the rent.
Exactly.
That had nothing to do with it. That what needed to happen for me is to stay focused on what I wanted, which was paying the rent. I didn't need to
Exactly.
go back and start thinking I can't pay the rent.
Exactly. See? And that's that same thing. The distractions take you away from your traction. My traction is to stay focused, follow one course until I'm successful. I got to get this rent paid. There are multitudes of ways for me to get it. How creative can I be? How solution oriented can I be focused on? And you, because of what you've grown through, you've created techniques, created some tools, a toolbox full of different tools that you can utilize. And that toolbox is right here. But the bottom line is implementing those strategies and concepts and ideas, which you actually call the breakthrough for your business people that are out there, for the leaders who are inspired by the work it is that you do and by the results that you get. And for me, listening to what it is that you say and knowing people who've actually gone through your process, which is why the man is here, is
Right,
just to
right.
say this. It's the acceleration and application to get things moving as opposed to just kind of hemming and hawing through it. You've got a proven strategy. You've got a solution-orientated mindset because you've experienced it for yourself. And it is the thing that actually allowed you to break through you to break to other people, to help them break through, to get to the people who are waiting for them as well. And that's a very unique process for me, brother. So I'm glad to have you here.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, my friend. It's been a
Yeah.
pleasure.
So how can people get in contact with you, brother Gerry?
The simplest way to get in contact with me is old school. I'll give you two ways. Just call my business phone,
Right.
480-206-4459,
Okay.
480-206-4459, or you can go to my website, theleadersedge.online, not .com, .online.
Online.
THE is in front of leaders,
Mhm.
theleadersedge.online. Those are the simplest ways.
So what I'm going to do, folks, because this is my brother, I'm going to put the links down below and reach out to this man. If you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur who's budding out, if you've been through a stress, strain, or struggle, and you've got a business, or if you're in that place and space in your life where you're ready for a breakthrough, and you know that what you've been doing just has not been working out for you, get yourself a coach of coaches that coaches coaches to be coaches. You understand what I'm saying? And it's really about that simple. So again, my brother Gerry, I appreciate you showing up. This is the Light Body Podcast. My man Gerry in the building. He dropped his science on you. And again, it's that special technique. If you really want to slow down to speed up, if you really want to get things from where you are to where you truly desire to be, you've got to find somebody who's walked that path and who's really allowing that light to illuminate, to light the path up for you to come through so you can help the people who you're ready to help. All right. So, my brother Gerry, I appreciate you being in the building again, my
I
sir.
appreciate you, Clyde,
Peace,
very much.
blessings, prosperity, and abundance to everybody that's out there. One love, Light Body Podcast is a wrap. I'll see you later on. Peace, blessings, one love to you. I'm out.